Hello and welcome to this Warhammer 40k battle report with me, Vince. Today's battle report is between Tyranids and Space Marines. It's a 2000 point list, and I will mention the Space Marine list is full of models that my opponent has. What I mean by that, he only has a limited amount of models, he doesn't have the new Centurions, and he doesn't have a lot of vehicles. So let's see how both armies do. So let's go ahead and look at the mission and deployment type. So we rolled a 2 for today's mission, which is Purge the Alien. A simple game of kill points. And we rolled number 3 for the table, and it is Hammer and Anvil. So let's have a look at the table setup. There is a ruined building in the foreground, some hedges, a large ruined building in the central left area, a small forest with walls and water feature, some hills, a tower, some ruined buildings in the background, and a raised area as well. So an interesting layout today. A large section, narrow section in the middle is completely open, so we'll see how well each army is able to maneuver around the board. So the Space Marines get to deploy first because they rolled first. So there is 10 Assault Marines with a champion person with a Power Fist. There is 10 Tactical Marines, another 10 Tactical Marines with a Grandmaster and Librarian attached to them who's taking Biomancy today. Another 10 Tactical Marines, and then 2 Storm Talons and 2 Dreadnoughts in drop pods in reserve, as well as a unit of Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators. Space Marine's psychic powers. Rolled Warp Speed for his Librarian, giving the ability to have D3 extra attacks on initiative, and Hemorrhage, which basically gives a model headache. For the Space Marine's Warlord trait, he rolled a 6, so he's able to redeploy his units, but he was happy where they were, so didn't use it. Now looking at my Tyranids deployment, I've got 10 Termagants with both Winged Hive Tyrants, some Hive Guard with the Winged Hive Tyrant, a second unit of Termagants with the Hive Tyrant, 30 Hormagants in the middle, a Tervagon and Tyrannofex hanging out together, and in reserve I've got the Doom of Malantai and a Trigon Prime. So there they are, all the Gaunts and Hive Guard underneath the Hive Tyrant. So my psychic powers, a lot of them today. So the Winged Hive Tyrant with Bowsword and Lash Whip, got Smite, and he also got Warp Speed. My other Winged Hive Tyrant got Life Leech and Smite, but he already had two Twin Link Devourers, so these shooting attacks aren't great for him. The Tervagon got Smite as well, and I gave the other Tervagon Smite too. So looking at the Warlord trait for the Tyranids, Night Attacker for the 6th game in a row. Now can the Tyranids steal the initiative? Yes, they can! So it is turn 1 Tyranids movement. The first Tervagon spawned 7, and the other Tervagon spawned a good number of few. Everything that couldn't shoot moved and ran up the board in the same turn. That's how me and my opponent play. It makes games a lot quicker. And as you can see, the blue tide is heading towards the Space Marines. So going into turn 1, Tyranids shooting. Not a lot of shooting this turn. The Tyrannofex firing its Rupture Cannon at one of the Space Marines. 1 hit, 1 wound, and he fails his armor save. My Winged Hive Tyrant with the Twin Link Devourers fire at the Assault Marines. Then he falls and then gets to reroll, and then he needs 2s to wound, and he has a 3-up armor save, so only 1 goes down. So this heads into turn 1 Space Marines movement. His first drop pod comes in due to drop pod assault with his Dreadnought there. Everything shuffles across away from the main bulk of the Space Marines, from the Tyranids, so that he can shoot at my Hive Tyrant. And as it is the shooting phase, he aims at my Hive Tyrant He gets a good number of hits, so I have to make a grounding test, which I fail, and he is now grounded. The second unit then fires, and since he's grounded, only need to hit on freeze, but then needs 6s to wound. And I made the armor save. The third tactical marines are firing at the hive turret. Getting one hit, but I make the armor saves. The storm bolts from the dreadnought at the Tervagon. I save that, and the dreadnought is firing at the Tervagon as well, and causes a wound. That's the assault phase in turn 1 already, so I get to overwatch at him, and I don't do anything, so his assault marines attack, but I have a higher initiative, so I go first, because his hammer raft didn't do anything to me. And wounding on 2s, and all these are AP2, so 2 go down. He then needs 4s to hit me, and 6s to wound me, and then I have a 3-up armor save, which I fail. Tyranid turn 2 movement, everything moves up again, as fast as it possibly can. Huge wave in the middle moving up now. And I've turned some units around to get a better view of the dreadnought and try and take that down, because it is in my deployment zone and could do a lot of damage where it is. So turn 2 shooting for the Tyranids. The rupture cannon fires at the drop pod, 1 hit, and causes a hull point. And then the Dragon Prime is firing at the dreadnought and kills it. And the Hive Guard are firing now at the drop pod, and they are also able to take that down as well. So I have first blood and a few kill points for me already. So there's a challenge, and the Winged Tyrant beats the Assault Marine champion, and they fail they fall back, and I catch them. So that's another kill point and another unit gone. So it's fun to have a Storm Shields come in from Deep Strike, but his 2 planes and second Dreadnought do not. So again, trying to take down my Winged Hive Tyrant. A lot of hits, a few wounds, and I fail 1 more wound. So I'm on 1 wound with that Hive Tyrant. A few more shots at him, and he fails to wound with that last unit. Turn 3, Tyranids movement. My Dragon Prime has moved up, as have the Hive Guard and Tyrannifex, to get a better angle on his Terminators. Everything else has moved towards his unit on the left hand side. Both Winged Hive Tyrants and the Hormagods are looking to assault this turn, and the Doom of Malantai has arrived in from reserve. So going into turn 3 Tyranid shooting, the Doom's ability activates, so he can suck up lots of souls, and he takes down 3 of the Space Marines on this side. This unit passed their leadership, and the Fire unit lose 2. So the Winged Hive Turret then fires into the unit in front of him, trying to do life leech, because if I wound any of them, I get to regain the amount of wounds I wounded. And I make my psychic test. He doesn't deny the witch, and I do miss. So then I get to fire one of my Devourers at him, and he loses another Marine. So then I use the Doom and Malantai's large blast on that unit, and the Strength 9, AP2, so 7 die. So then I'm firing the Rupture Cannon and the Hive Guard at the Terminators. I get a few wounds, and he fails 2 of them, which is great for me. So the Trigon Prime then fires at him. I only get 1 wound through, and he makes his armor save. So going into the assault phase now, the Trigon Prime assaults the Terminators. I get to go first. A good number of hits, a good number of wounds, and he fails 3 of his armor saves. So there goes the Terminators now. So now my Winged Hive Tyrant is fighting against his champion of that unit. I kill him. Then the Hormagauts are going against his Marines rolling, then needing 5s to hit. Go wound. Get a couple of wounds, and he fails another one, and he kills one of my hormones. And then we have Winged Dive Tyrant in close combat with a couple of units on the other side. He falls back, but I don't capture him. I only rolled a 1, so we go into the Space Marines turn 3 now. One of his Storm Talons come onto the field, and his drop pod with Dreadnought comes on too. Let's see what they can do in the shooting phase then. So, fires everything he can at the Winged Dive Tyrant. Failed to do anything. He then fires with his Storm Talon at my Tervagon, and he brings it down to 4 wounds. Then the drop pod and Dreadnought fire, and only cause a wound on the other Tervagon. So now we're in the assault phase. I choose to go against his normal tactical marines, forgetting his librarian has a force weapon. So I'm able to take down his tactical marines easily, taking 3 of them down, and his force weapon causes a wound on my flying hive turret, and then he passes his leadership to activate the force weapon, meaning he instant kills it. Which was a great move by him. I forgot. So now I shuffle my Winged Hive turret around a little bit, the one with the Devourers, so I can shoot at his plane. And in the shooting phase we'll see how effective they can be. So the Hive Guard fire at the Dreadnought, it looks like. Causing 2 hull points, but not exploding it. Then the Tyranids fires at it as well. Needing 2s to do anything, and 2 more hull points means it is down. So now my Winged Hive Tyrant is firing at his plane. He did jink, but I managed to take him down. He did explode, but it didn't hurt anything. So going into turn 4, Tyranids nom nom nom, the Tervagon eats the drop pod. Turn 4, Space Marines movement. His second plane comes onto the field, and everything moves away from the Doom of Malantai. He fires at my Winged Hive Turret and fails to do anything, and he fires at my Tervagon and misses with everything as well. Turn 5, Tyranid movement. Everything is moved up. He only has 3 models left on the board. So I start by shooting at his plane with my Winged Hive Turret, which has gone great the last few rounds. He did jink again, and only 1 goes through. It is a pen, and I roll a 3. So he's got 1 hull point left, and then I fire some shots from my Termagants at the Librarian, and he's fine. And the Tyranids at the Librarian, and I miss. And then my more shots at the plane from any unit that can see it and actually hurt it. I cause another hull point, but he jinked it. So we're going to the assault phase now in turn 4. Doom and Malantai attempts to go into combat, and so does the Hormagaunts, but the Hormagaunts only roll a 3, so they come just short of attacking the Grandmaster. So in this combat, the Doom and Malantai is able to do 1 attack, 1 wound, and he doesn't make his armor save, so he goes down. Turn 5, Space Marines overview. He moved his Grandmaster and his Storm Talon, and we found magic. Turn 6 overview. I moved my Winged Dive Tyrant to try and catch his Storm Talon. Everything moves up to the Grandmaster. I then fire at the Storm Talon, getting a good number of hits, and he explodes. Everything else that can shoots at the Grandmaster Champion Super Duper Space Marine dude, but doesn't manage to really do anything. And then we go into close combat with everything, and he fails a wound, so he goes down, signaling the end of the game in turn 6. And we have a look at the board. Tyranids have taken over the board completely. There isn't a single Space Marine model on the board, And all he did was kill my Mycetic Spore, a Hormigaunt, and a Winged Hive Tyrant. Tyranids table the Space Marines. So there we have it then. The Tyranids tabled the Space Marines completely. A brilliant game for my Tyranids, and horrific for the Space Marines. Now again, the models shown on the board are the only Space Marine models he actually owns, so he doesn't have a variety of models to play around with. Maybe if he'd had a few more vehicles, or the new Centurions, who knows what would have happened. So leave a comment below on what you think the top 5 Space Marine units are in the new Codex, and how the new Codex stands in your local gaming area. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe and share, and I'll see you again on the next video.